Alright, Shalom Israel. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, New York, under commanding Gen.YAHANNA. I'm Officer Yakad, and today is our Lashawan Qadash class, which is really the holy tongue. It's our ancient tongue, which is our ancient language, which is ancient Hebrew. You know, there are a lot of other names that come around or surround. They call it so-called Paleo Hebrew, but it's not so-called Paleo. The real meaning is ancient. This is ancient Hebrew we are teaching. This is something that our forefathers, right up from Abraham, come right down, even right up to Adam. This is where our language and our holy tongue comes from, right? And the children of Israel, the Lashawan Qadash, or the ancient Hebrew, is our language, is our tongue. And that belongs to the so-called black, so-called Hispanic, so-called native Indian man. And tonight, we're going to continue on some topics that we have done, right? For the past couple of weeks, we've been dealing with first we did with the Hebrew alphabet, which is paramount in any language. From there, we went on to the so-called prefixes and suffixes, right? Those that really give the meaning or the context of a particular word, all right? So tonight we're going to continue to just organize and continue to learn through. Last week we went through with some tenses. We went through the future tense last week. And so this week we're going to go through the past and the future tense. All right, so just going to make some adjustments here. All right. Bear with me, Babu. Right. So we're going to deal with tonight with the what we call the past tense. Now, past in Hebrew is I.S.U.P.K. Alright, that's past in Hebrew. I.S.U.P.K. And in the Hebrew script, it's I.S.U.P.K, right? Which means past. Last week we dealt with some of the what we call the present tense last week, which was like, you know, I am, right? We did with the word Shema. Shema means to watch. See, we went through phrases like I am watching, you are watching, she is watching, they are. So we get in the context of forming words, right? So that we can be able to use these words in our everyday lives. Simple and very effective. All right, so we're going to get this back up. So this week, we're going to go with the past tense, right? So we get this. We're going to go with the past tense. So we're going to go through basically the same thing, but we're going to put it in a different context. So if we made past, we're going to deal, we did with present before. We're going to deal now with the past, and then we're going to roll into the future tenses, right? And with these, in order for to show the effectiveness of these past, present, and future, we're going to use different pronouns. Right? The last one you used was Shema. We're going to use a different one today, right? Which is Ima. So we're going to use a different one just to show a little variety, and then you'll be able to get a new word, Hebrew word under your belt. So the word we're going to use today is lamad. And the word lamad means to learn. Get more space here. So we have here lamad. We're going to one here. Lamad means to learn. So today we're going to learn how to speak in the past tense in the Hebrew, which is really critical. So just as our last week we had, say I am watching television. Today we're going to go in the past tense. And you could put it like I was watching. She was, or he was. So we're going to put it in that context so you'll be able to get to understand what's taking place. Alright, so now in order to get into the past tense in context, try this one. Now to bring in the past tense contents, you must add, right, faya. To the word. So whichever word we're going to use, faya is going to be added to the end, or this is what gives it the past tense. Right? So we're going to see the different contexts of using faya and bringing it into the past tense. Right, so we're going to go. So lamad or lamad means to learn. So if you're going to say I am learning, if we can remember what I means. I in Hebrew is anya. Right? Anya. So we have lamad. Right? So we're going to say I. And I in the Hebrew is anya. Right, so we have I and ya, but we have to remember there's context. Because when you're speaking, you can either be speaking in the masculine or in the feminine. Now, some words are interchangeable, where you could use either, that word can be used for either masculine or feminine. So in this case, we have anya, I, could go either masculine or feminine in this context. Now this is the masculine and feminine singular, which is important because it changes in the plural sense. Right? There are some additions or some changes to bring context to the singular and plural pronoun. Right? So, we'll go again. So, if you want to say, I am learning, or I was learning, if you want to put it in that context. Or in this case, you have I Now, because Hebrew is a straight language, you would have like what we have like as a filler. We would say in English, we would say I was watching, or I. In this case, we have lamad, which is a learn. I learned, which is the past tense. She learned, has already gone, past tense. Right? So it's in context. So it's in context of what is that we're doing. So this would really mean or be stated as I learned. I learned. Right? This is what they will actually say. So anya, I, now, remember as I said in the beginning, to bring it into the past tense, we have to add the ya to the end of the sentence, or to the end of the pronoun. So it's anya, which is I learned a ya. So to say I learned is anya lemataya. Right? So it's anya tamat taya. Anya lamad taya. Alright, so that's the daily context. If you want a revision, you can always go back, roll back the tape, and to be able to get the proper context if you find I'm going too fast. But as I said before, with any language, you have to take it in sections or in parts, in portions. Alright? So just take it slow, get the understanding. If you want to go back to the first tape, understand the prefixes, suffixes, then you'll be able to get the understanding to push it forward. So we're dealing in the past tense, which is past in the Hebrew is I.B.A, right? And the word we're using here, or the pronoun we're using tonight, is lamad, which means to learn. Alright? So we have I learned, which is anya, I lamad ya. Right? So that is in the singular past tense. As I said a little bit earlier, this can be used for both masculine and feminine. So we're going to move, we're going to do like a little cheat or a shortcut. So we're not going to be writing everything over here. Right. So in this case, we had I learned. If you all see that good on the Facebook, yep. Oh, shoot. Right, but you're going to be able to get everything together. You just have to continue to get it rolling. So we did I learn. So the next one we're going to go to is you. Now we have the you in the singular context. If you remember what you is atha. So we have you. So you is a tha in the Hebrew. So you is a tha. A tha. So let's change it around a bit so we get it easier to see it. So we have a tha, which is you. Same context. Now, to bring you in the masculine sense, singular, we just add in faya to the end. So, atha lamad faya. Now, this is in the masculine, singular, which is important. We cannot forget that. This is in the masculine. So we have you, which is a fa, and to say you learned in the masculine form, speaking to our brother, is afa lemad taya. Afa lemad taya. That is in the masculine. To say you learned in the masculine form. Now, if there's a feminine form, and if you can remember, the feminine singular is afan. So afan. So we have you, which is afar, but there's a little curveball thrown in. Right? Now we have the feminine. So you have same you, afar, lamad, but there's a switch up. In the feminine context, in this case we put in ha. So we'll be saying afar, lamad, ha. For the feminine pronoun. Feminine singular. So you learn in the feminine context speaking to a sister, Atha lamadha. Atha lamadha. Alright? So we're gonna move along. So we have I, just the I. Then we moved on to you, masculine, feminine. We're going to go to now as well. It's some other pronouns. So we had masculine, feminine for you. Right? So we had I, we did you, now we're going to do he. So he, in the Hebrew, is power up. ha, wa, a. Again, is the masculine form. So we have he, which is how a, and in the masculine form is saya. So we pronouncing it how a lamad saya. He learned. Again, we get the context for both present, past, and future. And also we're going to look at it in the first, the second, or in the third person, which is really critical. So we have our a lamad taya. Our a lamad taya. That is key, learn. And this was in the masculine. Masculine singular. We're going to jump to the feminine aspect. So we have he. Now we're going to go to she. So she in the Hebrew is hanya. You're supposed to be able to see it. So she is Salakia, not hanya. Hana is haya. Haya. Which is she. Good. Again, like, share, and subscribe to all our classes. Come get back to learning your history, your culture, and your language. ISUPK.com. We have classes basically every day of the week. We have Sunday class with Officer Lashawan, which is the history, not history Salakia, which is scripture breakdown. Alright, we have Monday with Officer Makako Bal, which do the history, does the history. We have Tuesday, Officer Sawap Ya'ala. He does the brotherhood class. We have Wednesday with Officer Makwaya. He does the law class. Right? Thursday is General Mahima. He does the scripture breakdown class. Everybody should tune into that class. Any and everything that you can think about in the Bible, General Yohanna, General Mahima, they break it down. Point blank. There's no other group or school or religious organization that could contest what is being broken down by the men, by the priests and the prophets of the I.S.U.P.K. Then we have Friday with myself, Officer Yakar with the Lashawan Qadash, as I'm doing here now. Then we have Saturday, our Sabbath services. Alright? So tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. for our Sabbath service. Now we have here, as I said before, she in the past tense, right, is haya lamad ha. Haya lamad ha. Now, just as we did previously with the context of you, feminine, we have the ha to bring the feminine context. So we have Haya lamad ha is feminine for she learned. Right? So that is the context in which we're using at. So we're going to break down some more to be able to get it done. So we just had I, you, she, he. Now we're going to go into the plural aspect. Now this was singular before. Now we're going to go into the plural context. And the plural context of pronouns would be words like we. We have we and they, us. Those are pronouns in the plural aspect. Right? So we're going to get those in. So we have we. We learned. So we're going to put this here now in context. So if you can remember from the previous classes, we in context is anak. Anak now. Alright? That is we. Plural. Now, we have we can be masculine, or we have we, which is feminine. Alright? So we masculine, we have anak, nawa, anak nawa, lamad, and we're going to put here now, this is the catch with this one. We have anak, nawa, lamad, in the plural context, nawa. So you're going to write back the plural context. So we watch is anak nawa, lamad nawa. Anak nawa, lamad nawa. Plural. Can be used for masculine and feminine. Anak nawa, lamad nawa. Right? So I hope you all got that down. So this is we learn. We learn. So we. So come, black man. Hispanic, and Native Indian man. Come into the I.S.U.P.K, get the knowledge, get the understanding of your history, culture, and your language. And with that, you'll be able to understand and to come out of this system, come out of wherever you are. As you can see in the US right now, how our brother George Floyd was murdered by that white devil. And if he had known better, and pray that, the Most High will, he will rise in power. And when he does come back, if the Most High allows him to come back, that he'll be able to make better choices, especially in dealing with those devils. Alright? But we can see now that we are angry. And most of us are angry because we do understand. But if you come back to our Lord, to the laws, the commandments, and the statutes of the Most High, we will not be, I should say, destroyed by these devils. You understand? My heart pours out to that brother, and it real dread for us to be able to see now, even more than ever, that they continue to blatantly, you understand, murder us without no fear, without no sense of remorse. You understand? And this should wake us up. Not just in the US, but trust me, right down here in Trinidad, it's nothing different. Until somebody catch it on social media. And we don't see how our brothers and sisters in John, see lots in Bakadere, Congo, you name it, Library, Point. All the way our people reside is strictly oppression. Alright, so we're going to get back to our custom, our language, our history, and we will learn to separate from these heathens. We will learn to be our brother's keeper and not, cleave unto these heathens. Alright, so let's get back to the lesson. So we have now, we did we, alright? So now we're going to go to you, or you all. So if I'm talking to a group of persons, there's a group of fellas down there, I will say, you all, come over here. In Trinidad, I will say, all here. That's how we say down here, all here come. Right? But in the context, we're dealing with you, but you in the plural aspect. Now there's the plural masculine, and there's the plural feminine. Alright? So as we know, you is a ta. But in this context, because it's plural, masculine, it's a thumb. So we say a thumb, lamad, and just as in the plural context as we did before with we, the plural context that comes in front also comes in the back. So you have a thumb, lamad, a thumb. So we add a thumb to the end of the word to give it the plural context. A thumb, lamad, a thumb, which is you, or not just you, but you all, or y'all, according to your pronunciation. Some people say y'all, you all, y'all. We just say all here, down here in Trinidad. Right? That's just our slang, our twang. To single out a particular group. And in this case, it's masculine, plural. So just for our clarity, let's write this plural. That's what we say. Y'all. Right? Or you all learn. Right? So they're going to say it over one more time just for clarity. A thumb in the masculine. A thumb, lamad, a thumb. You all learn. We go to the next one. After we do the past tense, we're going to jump into the future tense to get context in that as well. And then once time permits, we can go into some words or some commonly spoken words in Hebrew so that we can get context. So we have here now, we had you. So we had the masculine before, which is a thumb. Now we're going to show the feminine. Now the feminine in plural for you is a thumb. And it's used often. So we say, for the woman would say, Yahweh Shamar I Athan, which is plural. Right? Ba'ashem Yahweh. For the men, you say Yahweh Shamar Athan for the female. So we had Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Barak Atham. Right? So Atham for the masculine, Athan for the feminine. And just as how we did for the masculine in bringing context, so we have whatever is in front for the plural aspect will also be at the end for the plural of the pronoun. Right? So we have Athan, Lamad, Athan. Which is your, right? Or you all, right in the short. So you all learn in the feminine is Athan, Lamad, Athan. Athan, Lamad, Athan in the feminine aspect. So we almost finished with the past tense. We're just going to jump into another plural aspect, which is they. Alright, so we're going to take this. And if you realize it's a pattern, right? With sometimes slight changes in context of plural, in the plural, or the masculine or the feminine aspect. But the basic rules still apply. Right? Some of those basic stuff that we ran through earlier on in the classes before, we see here now how we can be able to put them together to be able to create words. Alright, so we have here, right, we just did the masculine, feminine form of you. Now we're going to go into the other one, which is they. And they also has a masculine, plural, and a feminine, plural. And if you all can remember, masculine for they is ham. Feminine for they is Han. So, you want to say masculine. Masculine for male and female. You would say ham. Oh yeah, here's the trick now with this one. But then is ham, lamad, and you would add wa at the end to bring context for they. Now you can have they masculine, they feminine, or they as in a group, male, females together. Right? Now male, females together, the context you would have to use ham, lamad, wa. Right? For male or in general context. Now we can use the same. You have ham, lamad, wa for the masculine. Now, if you want to use it in the feminine or it's in they as a group of females, then you would have how to use. I'm going to for some space. Han. So you would have han lamadwa for the feminine. I'm going to try to go here. Or you would have ham lamadwa. So in this context, you have ham lamadwa, they learn, or han lamadwa, they learn. For the female, ham for male, han for female. Right? So that just to bring context in the past tense. So I'm going to give you all a minute, just jot down those pieces, and then from there, we're going to go into the other aspect, which is the future tense. Alright, so we're going to move on to the future tense. Which is I.S.U.P.K, if I'm not mistaken, in the Hebrew. I.S.U.P.K. Let's clear the board. We're going to move into the future tense. Here we are at I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General GEN.YAHANNA. We're not affiliated with any religious group or organization. So if you want to learn your history and your culture, log on. If you want to do something about crime, come join the I.S.U.P.K. And not just crime in general, but crime against your brothers and your sisters, your family, your people, your peeps, your brethren. You understand? However, we the same all over the world, which is our culture, to call each other brother or brothers, sister. Even though it's not your biological sister, you can say that I'm a brother. Or also we say that I'm a brethren. You understand? That is how we just do them. I'm a brethren. Or I'm a sistren. Right? That is how we just say it here in the Caribbean. Right? Trinidad, Guyana, Jamaica. Everybody have a slight twitch take or swing take. But that is the basic context for us down here. In yours, you will say that I'm a brother. Or however you would say it in context up there. But down here, we just say that is my brethren, that is my sister. Right? Come into the school, get this knowledge and understanding of who you are. And with that knowledge, you'll be able to raise rise up, bring up, SHALAM, raise our people, raise Israel, so that we can be able to come out of this oppression that we're going in. Every day we see it, our people are systematically oppressed, right? And our oppressors, right? Who is this? Well, our main oppressor, who is oppressing the entire world, but especially the nation and the children of Israel, right? It is so-called white man. But wherever we are, no matter who is there, we are always oppressed. Whether it be the Chinese, the East Indians, the Africans, you understand? They always come and oppress us. You understand? We are a rich people, financially, spiritually, in all aspects. But here's the problem. We do not know who we are. So we are exploited. And because we love the laws and the commandments of the Most High, guess what happened? We are the bottom. Because why? We don't know who we are. Every nation that is here in Trinidad or anywhere else in the world have their language intact, have their culture intact, have who their history is, what they are, where they come from, who their forefathers are. But guess what? The so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man have what? Only slavery to remember. And they keep on reminding us or cut us off at that point that we were just slaves. Our Native Indian brothers, who is actually our brothers, they were in slavery before us. They were shipped off from the Caribbean and in North America, South America, shipped into Europe. You understand? They were in the transatlantic slave trade even before the so-called blacks came, you understand, into slavery in the Caribbean, in North America and South America. They were enslaved first. You understand? And that history is always, pushed aside. And they were so much enslaved and oppressed that many of them now don't even know their natural tongue, which is the ancient Hebrew. If you look at the Mayan history, you look at the so-called Native Indian history, the Decalogue stone, the Bat Creek stone, is ancient Hebrew that is written. When you look at some of those, we call them hieroglyphics or pictographs, you would see the Dawadawa, the Star of David. All these are different clues and parts of history that our oppressor do not want to show us. And the reason why is because why? If we understand that we are these people, we are this great nation that the Bible speaks about, we are to be the head and not the tail, guess what? Our oppressor will see that. And fear will get in him. Because why? Once we understand who we are, start keeping the laws and the commandments and the Most High, our whole ideology of ourselves increase. And with that, we become a better nation, a better people. We won't rape, steal, rob from our brothers and sisters. And once that started to happen, we started to grow as a community, financially. And we started to grow and love each other. Guess what's going to happen? These other nations will not be able to take advantage of us. You understand? So let's go. I was just a little sidebar. So we have here now what we call the future tense. Future tense, right? And future in the ancient script is ayad, I-F-A-Y-A-D, I-F-A-Y-A-D. Right? It's pronounced I-F-A-Y-A-D. And if you write in the script, you have I-F-A-Y-A-D. Forget the connectors. I-F-A-Y-A-D. The ya and the da is connected, so it's pronounced yad. I-F-A-Y-A-D. which means future. Yad means future. Alright? So we're going to run through these here so that we'll be able to get a better context. So we have here, in this instance, we'll go back with what we was using last week, which is Shema. Right? So Shema in Hebrew means to watch. To watch. So, Shema means to watch. So, in the future tense, you have to pronounce or express the words in a context for further or out, future. So, if I'm in the future, I'm going to say, okay, I will watch this movie coming up. Right? So that's how you would say. I will watch football. I will watch, this big game. I will watch this concert. I will watch cricket. Or whatever else we're going to do. Right? Whatever it is, it brings that futuristic language to what you are going to do sometime in the future. Right? So you have here, when we say I or I will, right? So as you can remember, I in the Hebrew is, right? So you use Shema. So let's raise this up a little bit. You able to see it a little better. So guys, watch. So watch in Hebrew is Shema. Now, just as how we did for the past tense, there is a word or context to bring it, either future, so like either present, past. There's also one for the future. So the word to bring it in the future context is tha. Right? So tha would go at the beginning of the word, which is Shema. So whichever other word that they're using. So tha. Right? What gives you the future context, right? At the beginning. Right? So, if we were to write this now, if tha is going to the beginning of the word, how should we express this word now? So just for space, I'll shift this a little more again. Right? Right, so we have Shema, which means to watch. So if we have to say this word now, as we know, I in the Hebrew is Anya. Now the rule is to bring it in the future tense, we add the word tha to the front of the pronoun. which is this way here, which we use as Shema. So, and Ya, Ta, Shema will give you the context of I watch, or I will watch in this context. And Ya, Ta, Shema, and Ya, Ta, Shema. Will give you I will watch. Now, in this context, it's for both masculine, feminine context, which is important. And as we go through the rest, it will be doing the same thing. There will be some context, it will be universal, and some context, it will have the masculine and feminine separate in terms of understanding what context or what group you are speaking to, whether it be singular or plural. Right? And you see here now, so this is Anya from Ta Shema. So I'm going to go to the next one. Using this little cheat here. All right. So after I, what we have next? You. So we have you. Masculine, feminine. Will. In context, you will watch. So I said we put in the ta in front to give context. So if you're looking at you in the masculine form, as we know, you is a ta in the Hebrew. So it's a ta Shema. Afa Shema, which is you will watch in the masculine form, future tense. Afa Shema. Now that is the masculine. What we're going to show here now is the feminine. If you are paying attention, you realize there's a pattern. It doesn't always follow the same way, but there's a pattern at times once you look through the system. So in this case, we have Atha Shema, the masculine of you, future tense, you will watch. Now we have same Atha, which is same you, Atha Shema, but to bring it to the feminine context, we add a ya at the end. So we pronounce it now as Atha Shemaya. Atha Shemaya, which will give you the feminine singular of you will watch. So you're talking to this young lady, and you say, well, you will watch me. You understand? Or you will watch that over there. So it gives that future aspect. When you come tomorrow, you will watch this, or you will watch that in the future context. Right? So it's always used in that manner. So we'll move along. So we did the masculine, which is Atha Thashama, and the feminine is Atha Shamaya. Atha Thashama, ya. Atha Thashamaya for the feminine. So that's you. We'll move now to other pronouns, which is he. Now, same pattern, very similar, some slight changes. So you're going to say he will watch. So he will have to watch and see what will happen. That's what we just say down here. He will have to watch over there and wait. Watch, wait, see. He will. This is something that he will have to do. Future tense. Right? So as you know, he in ancient Hebrew is Hawa. So you have Hawa, right? But in this case, for he, you have to put the ya at the beginning. This is a slight change. Hawa, in this context, in the singular, is Hawa Yashama. Right? That is the context. Hawa Yashama. In the feminine aspect, however, we have, as you know, it's Haya, which is she. Haya is she. She will. Haya, feminine version, Tha. Shema. Haya, Tha Shema. Haya, Tha Shema. She will watch. She will. Now again, all this is just in context. Keep on practicing. Go back, rewind the video, pause, write down, do all what you need to do so that this will stick in your head. Because when you go in those Oriental restaurants, we need to say Chinese down here. When you go in a Chinese restaurant, them Chinese singing a wang 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 and wing wang wing, and we don't know what the hell they say. But they understand. So if they're bad talking we don't even know. Right. Because we don't even know our own language of you. Right. So when they're talking the kill kang wung and ping pang wang, they're proud of that. Because they are very proud people. We must be proud of our own language. Right? And our language is this ancient Hebrew. And our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the 12 tribes, we spoke this language. Right? And the so-called white man, our so-called oppressor, when he heard us speaking our language, he find that was a barbaric language. But he's a homosexual. So he like all this nice, smooth and philosophical way. But we were just straight to the point. You understand? That was Hebrew, straight to the point. So I'm not sticking with that. Right? So in this case here, we have Haya'a Fashama, which is she will watch. So we did I, you, he, she, all in the singular form. Right? So we're going to dive into the plural aspect of the future tense. So the plural aspect of the future tense is very similar again to what we did before for the present, past, and now in the future. So we have you all or y'all. We just say again or here, like our slang for prescribing or to talk to a particular group in the context of you. We just say all here. You all. Trying to talk so-called proper English. But I just our thing. But in this context here, we writing you all or y'all. Right? Try to make it look a little more civilized. So y'all. Right? So y'all, masculine, plural, right, is atha or atham. T-H-A-M. Atham. So atham, tha, shama, in the plural is the masculine form of y'all or y'all will. So we would say y'all will see what will happen tomorrow. If I try to bring it in context. You all will see when this will happen. You all will see when I win this game. You all will see when I build my house. You all will see when I come back. All like this future talk, future context. Right? We just say, all you go see. All you go hear. If all you don't do this. Right? That is in our Trinidadian local context. Right? But again, in this context here is you all. That's just what it means. So a thumb fashion ma is you all will watch. Or you all watch. The will is just to bring, some sort of context here, but if you read it plain, is you all watch. You all. A thumb fashion ma. Masculine. I'm going to jump into the feminine. This one should be easy. Again, still the pattern. So we have a thumb, masculine, then we have a thumb. We have a thumb. A thumb, fashama. But there's a slight change for the feminine. So you have a thun, fashama, na. So bring the feminine context. Right? A thun, fashamana. You all will watch. you all will watch. Athan Fashamana, you all will watch. Right, I'm just going to run through a few more. So we did the masculine and feminine plural of you. So what we're going to do now is the they. So we have they. Or before we even do they, I'll just do this one here, which I forgot, which is we. We. So to say we will watch, now we will watch as the masculine and feminine aspect. So this can be prescribed to both the masculine and the feminine. So we have, as we know, we in the Hebrew is anak nawa. So anak, there's a space I write down here, nawa. So when you look at the flow of it, to say we watch, or we will watch, future tense, anak nawa fashama, right? Anak nawa fashama. How to get our flow. Over time, I decided to get to understand the language, to understand the conjugation of the word, the pronouns, the tenses, the prefixes, suffixes. Then you'll be able to piece them together to get that flow, because with most languages, especially Hebrew, or if you're trying to learn our brothers' tongue, Spanish, you know, from the Venezuelans, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, the whole of South America, right? It takes a little bit of practice, simply put. Over. If you don't do that, you don't keep it in memory, you don't bring it in before your eyes, you don't write it down, because writing is very important to remembering as well, it will slip out of your mind. But in the school, under Commanding General Yahanna, under the generals, captains, and officers, you know, we are constantly exposed to these teachings. And with that, we are able to communicate with each other. So when we go in the Chinese restaurant again, and we speak our language, and I go to our brother and I say, Yahweh Basham Yesha Brakata, they will watch me cook here. And we will laugh at them, just like how they would laugh at us. Because they look at us as they look them dumb Negroes. You understand? They know what we say. The customary left, right, and center, and we don't have a clue what them say. But we have that ability now in the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General Yahanna, all the teachers, that we can get back to our heritage, our language, our custom, so that we can have that ability, that proud, to be proud of who you are and not be taken advantage of or disenfranchised by any other group of people on this planet. Right? So just to refresh this here, to say we will watch is anak nawa tashama. Right? We have just two more, and we'll continue from there. From now, we will go to this other aspect which is they. So we're saying they will watch, they will see, they will have, anyhow you want to put it in the context, it's plural, future tense. So, we say they, as we know, they in the Hebrew is masculine, han, feminine. Right? So they masculine, they feminine, han. Now, for they, there's a slight change. So to understand and get the context of this change, you are putting ya at the beginning and wa at the end. Right? In context, you put in ya in the beginning and wa at the end of the word. So, for us to say, for the masculine form, we will have ham, ya, yashama, wa, for the masculine, or they will watch. They will watch, speaking to a group of males, you will say ham ya shamawa. Salakia. Ham ya shamawa. That's how it's pronounced. Ham ya shamawa. They will watch. Then we'll have the feminine. And in this case, for the feminine aspect, we have an, fa, oita, an, fa, shama, and we know for the ending for the female context is na. So we have han thashama, han thashama na, han thashamana. They will watch in the feminine or the female context of they will watch. So this is just for the past and future tense. Right? So this is just our basic rundown of what we need for the present, past, and future tense. All these are interchangeable. Some, because as you're speaking, you may be able to use all in a particular conversation, or maybe just a few. So the more you practice in everyday life, you say, they will come, or they will watch and see when I am going, or I am watching, or I am going to. So all these are to be able, you will be able to use in context. The more you study, the more you're able to get it done right. We are the I.S.U.P.K. out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohanna. We teach that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians are the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. No other race, no other people. Not the Chinese, Egyptians, Africans, Snow White, the 3 Little Bears, none of them are Israelites. Only 12 lost tribes of the nation of Israel, who are today the so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Indians. Right? And with that, I pass the class to Priest and Officer Makakoba.
All right, this is the security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K. out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohanna. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapter 18 verse 31 and Malachi 3 verses 8 to 10. Means tenth in Hebrew and is pronounced ma'aishara. 10% of every penny or increase the Most High gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation.
Upcoming Holy Convocation, that is the Feast of First Fruits. That is June the 5th. Right? That was Friday, June the 5th at sundown. You can find that in Leviticus chapter 23 from verse 10 to 22.
Whatsoever amount of Salakia. Remind Akium and Aquatium to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he is to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, like shirt, like pants, like headband, or scarf. All right? And with that,